button lit up too.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
see how
It's
it's
and I see audio.
It's not doing enough for it. Just give me a little more.
No, I get it. I get it. Give me the or recording.
Yeah, exactly. Just the red highlighted text.
Let's see. We don't have these those back to 1.5. Try to switch it all. We're gonna go back on this on 1.1 of that.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay.
And then record. Record.
It's going? Okay.
It's going, yeah.
That's stressing me out.
Yeah, I mean, it could be now 10 minutes in an hour. So.
They said they're gonna try and do it first.
Cool. Thanks.
Randy's second here.
You guys can do whatever you want with it right there. I just was told to send it back. So. Yep, thanks, Paul.
Oh, I think I'll just stop it. He says a little crazy, but I'll just send him a shot.
Yep.
Allison, that's a construction one?
No, that's Zach. Believe it or not, that's our IT guy who always helps us out. He's just dressed up very specially today. He's probably checking the audio play, yeah.
Maybe he's in the new.
He was working over there today, so. I think they just finally got him built to the point where they're like installing the AV now. So they must be almost done.
Somebody said they it's gonna bring
Yeah.
Wait, does that mean the tunnel's gonna go away?
Yeah.
Oh, brand
He
new.
told me a couple
I
of
thought
times,
it was
I'm
gonna
like,
take another year or
both
something.
of them were like, I will not go, I will not step foot
Are they
there
checking audio?
until they're ready for us.
Pardon?
So
I'm
they
like,
must
I'm not
be
getting
ready.
any audio.
Hey, we record here because usually like right on the Zoom. And it's like,
I know, it's so confusing.
it's like,
The floors don't match
It's
anywhere.
weird.
Floor numbers are all wrong.
They may be.
Zach did say that they're renumbering this tower.
hmm.
So when they open it, it'll be normal. It'll no longer be 01.
I like the challenge.
It is amazing every time.
Oh no, he's working on some signal thing.
Oh, they're trying to get evidence in, which means he's probably getting brought in from the jail on Zoom. Let's see. Where is he? Just they're trying to get audio back.
Just gonna slide over 1 second. Excuse me. Just in case I need to monitor. Just shoot.
still in there? Construction dude?
No.
No, some other lady.
Kevin, the dude in the black jacket, still there, and they move on.
No, well, she's still working on it. Some other. Hardhead guy is back now.
Yeah, I have a bad, he's dicking with the monitors, I have a bad feeling that they're bringing him in on Zoom. Unless there's a piece of evidence they need to create a foundation here. There's really no other reason to have evidence, like the evidence
You
system.
be nervous we can't hear anything?
No, cause I think there's a defendant up there, isn't, don't we?
No, that's right.
You know what, I'm gonna quick slide over if he does go on Zoom. Oh,
Yeah,
what's
so you
going on?
I
Get
don't
'em off.
believe the county jail here has Zoom capabilities.
No?
At least they didn't for the Brooks cases in Milwaukee.
They just did Zoom with the other people. Those guys are.
Should I get video of this in case this doesn't go down?
No.
Oh. No, I'm just saying like,
Sorry.
hey,
Yeah.
you didn't get approved today because, you know, he didn't go through because of technical, I don't know.
But they could just put somebody on the phone, if he's physically here.
I'll use it, Ryan.
Tell me
yeah,
that,
you know,
see this,
I'll-
look
Well,
at the,
well, actually,
look
hold
at
on.
the parties.
I now have audio.
Tell me the one, the furthest left is in a defendant.
I think they're knocking on the window.
Oh.
Media room, can you hear us?
Yeah.
They're holding up a phone. Should I call in the room system now?
Can they
I think
see
it was,
Zach's probably gonna call me, I guess.
I'm hovering over the call button. Do it? All right, call him.
he said call him, turn off
Oh,
the
look
light.
at that.
Sorry, I just wanted them to see you put a thumbs up.
Where's the camera? Or where's the phone?
I think they're calling.
Are we good to go?
My phone hasn't rang.
We always bring it in just in case.
I have audio, I'm good.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Huh?
We can hear it.
Yeah, he's got Zoom pulled up, so.
Thank you, guys.
We're good to go.
All right, please bring them out.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
of dates within the probable cause section. The address on the complaint is accurate for Mr. Kasap. He is eligible for public defender representation. At this time, I would be making an oral motion to dismiss based on my review of the criminal complaint. I do not believe that there is sufficient information within the four corners to support the two charges, specifically with respect to the portion of both counts where there is an allegation that these things happened without consent. There is nothing that I can see other than one sentence at the end that says, based upon information and belief, victim A did not give the defendant permission to operate the VW Atlas, nor did he give consent to remove the Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum, So based on that, I would move to dismiss at this time.
Counsel, do you acknowledge receipt of the victim witness identification key?
I do.
Does your client currently, are you going to keep this case? Or
Yes.
Okay. All right, young man, these attorneys are going to represent you today and further after today, because you do have a right to an attorney in this matter. Does your client have a phone number we can add to the court file?
Yes, 262-875-0323.
All right, and just for the record, you come accused before we do the Four Corners Challenge. You come before the court being accused of 2 counts, operating a motor vehicle without owner's consent. If convicted, you face up to 6 years in prison or a $10,000 fine or both. Count 2, theft, movable property, special facts. You face up to 6 years in prison or a $10,000 fine or both if convicted. Court has reviewed a copy of the criminal complaint, and this is a felony, and there's a challenge that has been brought forth by defense counsel to the facts being alleged not supporting this matter going forward to a preliminary hearing. So that being said, state, what is your response to the challenge being brought forth by the defendant?
Here, we'd ask the court to deny that motion. In this case, what's alleged to have occurred is that the police went to the house the defendant formerly resided at. He is no longer welcome at that residence. His stepfather and mother were found, we believe it's them, they now have been positively identified as his stepfather and mother, were found deceased, shot. The stepfather was shot in the back of the head, and the mother had 3 gunshot wounds, 1 close up to the neck, and then 2 others that were non-fatal. Obviously, a dead person cannot give consent. We believe that the date of violation, although it's not in here, the date of death is on or about February 11th, 2025, which means that the defendant was living in the house with his deceased mother and stepfather for a period of time up to February 23rd, based upon the fact that and I believe that there was a neighbor who said that I don't even think the defendant had a driver's license to be able to drive a car. So based upon that and the fact that he was underage, I believe the inference is that he did not have consent to either take the firearm out of the house or the car. Obviously, the person that would have had to give him consent is dead, and we believe forthcoming charges will be brought accusing this defendant of causing that death. So at least for this hearing, we do believe that the motion should be denied. The 4 corners of the complaint adequately established probable cause to believe a crime has been committed and that the defendant committed that crime.
Your rebuttal to that response?
Majority of what Attorney Basie put on the record is not listed in the criminal complaint, and that's what the court has to decide this motion on. Whether or not a felony was probably committed and probably committed by this individual, that's a preliminary hearing standard. That's not the motion that's been brought today. I believe that there is a lack of information within the complaint to support the 2 charges as noted. Specifically, what Attorney Basie indicates is a completely separate charge that's not within the complaint, especially 2 separate charges. Whether or not the individual had a driver's license does not go to the elements of operating motor vehicle without owner's consent. So I would continue with my motion and ask this court to dismiss both counts.
When the court's presented with a 4 corners challenge to a criminal complaint, the court can make reasonable inferences from this complaint as to what the defendant's being accused of. In this case, he's being accused of operating a motor vehicle without owner's consent, as well as theft, special facts. Court notes that this vehicle, he was recovered in another state. This vehicle, there is no clear consent here. In fact, I understand that he is not here on other charges. I should look at what he's charged with. Obviously, I can make a reasonable inference no consent was given because the person or persons, I have to ask a clarification here. This is his biological mother who is alleged to be one of the victims?
Yes.
Well, the people who could have given consent, not alive. So it's a reasonable inference that no consent was given. Furthermore, there's no information here to believe that the firearm that was recovered in his possession, there was consent for him to, one, have it, or that his actions demonstrate that he had any permission whatsoever. So making reasonable inferences on the face of this complaint, the court will deny the motion to dismiss. I will make a further finding. I do make the finding that there are sufficient facts to set this matter over for a preliminary hearing. So as such, on behalf of the state of Wisconsin, I will take your bail argument at this time.
Thank you. Judge Bourne did sign the arrest warrant on this case after reviewing the probable cause in the complaint, and he signed it with $100,000 cash bail. Certainly, I believe that's the minimal amount that should be ordered by this court. However, since this complaint has been issued, we certainly have much more information. We have downloads of electronics. We have downloads from applications that the defendant was using, and certainly the future. I'm just waiting for a couple of warrants to come back. Further, the defendant was communicating via an app in either Russian or Romanian. We're not sure. The FBI is helping us to translate those communications. I can tell the court the defendant had $14,000 in cash on his person. He also stopped at least one Bitcoin machine and made 12 different transactions through that machine. That is not money that you get, but it goes into a wallet that he presumably has access to. We are asking for $250,000 cash bail, that he be ordered not to leave the state of Wisconsin. He not use or possess any type of dangerous weapon. The defendant was born in Moldova. He came to the United States approximately 10 years ago with his mom. The allegations again involve the defendant leaving the residence, last seen at the residence on February 23rd. The last time either the victim A or victim B was seen alive would be February 11th. I believe he stopped attending school on February 12th. We do believe that the two victims were killed on February 11th. The defendant continued to live in that residence with the two bodies in the house. He then fled with the $14,000 in cash. We know that he was communicating with someone indicating that he had the name of a person to get fake plates from to put on the car in order to obviously hide the fact that the car was stolen. We know victim A and victim B both had injuries consistent with gunshot wounds, as I described before. The stepfather had a contact or near contact wound to the back of his head, and his mother, victim B, had wounds to her torso as well as we believe a close gunshot to the neck, which would have been the fatal gunshot. He has no family in Wisconsin. His maternal grandmother lives outside the United States. He does have, through his stepfather, he has family. Victim A has family in Massachusetts. I don't think at this time that they're too interested in this defendant. We do know, like I said, he was communicating in Russian or Romanian. We are trying to work through that with the FBI. We also know that based upon the fact that the defendant had both victim A and victim B's driver's license as well as other identifying information for his parents, for his stepfather and his mother, that we don't know what he intended to do with that identification. But we do believe he is a risk not to appear in the future. As indicated, I will be issuing additional charges hopefully in the next week, and they will certainly be more serious, involving the death of victim A and victim B. For all those reasons, Your Honor, the state does believe he is a risk, and we've asked the court minimally to do the $100,000 that Judge Bourne felt was appropriate, but based upon the information we now have, including the lengths that the defendant was willing to go to conceal the car and possibly conceal his appearance by bringing cash and getting Bitcoin, the state does believe the $250,000 cash bail is appropriate.
Other defendant.
Thank you. We're asking for a lower cash bail. I think at most $100,000 is sufficient. Obviously, it's held Mr. Kasap in custody. He has not been able to post that amount, but given the nature of the charges that are before the court at this time, I believe that a lower cash bail would be more appropriate. He is young. He's still in high school. He has been in Wisconsin since special facts. I don't believe an increase in cash bail is appropriate at this time. Most of what Attorney Basie has indicated would be more relevant to any subsequent charges if they are filed, but at this juncture, what the court has before it, a lower cash bail would be more appropriate, but again, at most, the $100,000 has been sufficient in holding Mr. Kasap in custody.
Thank you. The mayor come before the court today for the setting of bail. We conducted the initial appearance. We did have a challenge. I denied the motion to dismiss. Court's viewed the criminal complaint, heard the arguments of counsel. Court would note that one of the issues the court does take notice of here is it appears that this individual was trying to flee the jurisdiction of not only this state but also this country. I can't help but notice that according to the criminal complaint, this individual continued to move further and it's a reasonable inference, given the fact he was going through Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado. He was doing what he can to not ever come back to this court, not ever face any charges whatsoever. So I acknowledge the fact he's a rather young man. He's in high school. I understand he's been cooperative with law enforcement. However, the court is very concerned about whether or not this individual, having substantial contact overseas, having left this state, tried to get different plates on the car. All these things make me believe he is a tremendous flight risk, which he could not, he would not return to this jurisdiction if given the choice in front of him. So for all those reasons, the court will follow the state's recommendation, set cash bail in the amount of $250,000. Conditions include appear in person for all future court dates, no violations, rising level of probable cause. I'll set level 1 WCS monitoring with GPS to remain in the state of Wisconsin. He shall not leave the state of Wisconsin. He will be released during business hours to be fitted with the GPS, and he will not be allowed to leave the state. He will surrender any and all passports he may have and will not apply for any other passports during the pendency of this case. And again, he will not leave the state of Wisconsin. Absolutely no weapons whatsoever. Furthermore, if he has not previously had a DNA sample taken, the court orders a DNA sample to be taken from this individual. The car theft case of the DNA case, and as such, he shall be collected from him. He may ask for it to be returned to him under 165.77 sub 4. Furthermore, cooperate with any and all ID processing needed. And as a housekeeping matter, obviously the warrant is quashed that was issued because it's here in front of me and I just set bail on him. So, that all being said, for the defense, are you asking for prelims and time limits, or you waive statutory deadlines on this case for a prelim?
I would ask for it within timelines.
Time limits being set, not being waived, we'll set it within the 10 days. State, you made some statements on the record today that additional charges are forthcoming. I know it's kind of hard to estimate, but obviously it would make more sense to get the charges in, or are you amending the criminal complaint or adding a whole new case number?
Actually, what we would ask is that we set this out for closer to the 10th day, and I believe that one option I have is...
Madam Clerk, a date certain then for preliminary.
The court had anything on the 21st. Today's the 12th, so the 10 days would be the 22nd.
Yeah, but you don't count weekends. That's under 11 days. Unless someone wants to correct me on that. What do you want to do, the 21st? What are we doing here?
I'm available the 21st, I don't know if defense is available.
Do you not have prelims on the 21st? Otherwise, then I have March 19th. 8:15 or 9:15?
I can do 8:15.
Both of us are in trials.
I will take Madam Clerk's calculation of it's the 26th, and if it's not, then I would waive time limits to go to the 26th, that's fine.
With that understanding, we have availability on that date, Madam Clerk?
On the 26th.
Wednesday, yeah, that's Wednesday, right?
That would be Wednesday, March 26th at 8:15 or 10:15?
I actually have a trial on that day, we do the 24th.
I can do the 24th at 10:15.
That would work for me.
That's fine.
All right, that'll be the next court date. State anything further on this one?
Hang on.
For the defense?
No, thank you, sir.
All right, that concludes the hearing. I wish everyone well with it.
Oh, usually they call them suicide spots. It's kind of a
Suicide.
I've also seen like safety slot or safety vest
Yeah.
too, if you wanna avoid the word
Well,
suicide.
thank you for filling out the slip.
I don't totally understand. I think it's so you can.
It's so they can hang themselves, yeah, with their shirt, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.